Phil Spalding, rock star, genius, guitar dealer, and bass player extraordinaire. Welcome to, what's it called? Musicians Funnies. Yes. Okay, great.
Musicians Funnies. My God, I tell you, I think I could just about qualify Mr. Niles, Dr. Niles, in fact.
Doc, I am a doctor. Bend over and cough. You've been a professional musician all your life. You've toured all over the world. You've played with some of the biggest names in show business. But tell me this. Why do you think it is that musicians have this particular shared sense of humor, which has a certain quality to it? Why do you think they have this?
I think it's because we are forced into a position where we live such an unusual life. Our working hours, the way we have to travel sometimes, the rubbish we have to eat sometimes.
Oh, yes.
It's just abnormal. It's an abnormal way of living.
Yes.
If anyone's ever been on a tour for a year and done the same show every night, now check this out, okay? Right, okay, you're doing your 84th show, okay?
Yeah.
But the audience that you're playing in front of, it's their first show.
Correct.
And you got to produce it, man. You got to come up with the goods,
Yes.
And after a while, I think that shared sense of humor you're talking about, along with probably an increase in drinking and maybe use of drugs as well. And that's not for everybody,
Oh, no. And to be fair, accountants and company executives and shoe salesmen also drink and take drugs.
Yeah, and you know what? The guys I've met like that can't bear it. Actually, they can't carry it as well as we can. Strangely enough, I mean, I don't know if he's going to see this or not. My dentist, I helped my dentist out.
Yeah.
Who was partying a little, a little too much, let's say, and he did all my implants for free, and he had the money as well.
Yeah.
He
And,
was
and
doing
I'm
three.
sure that story is not a lie because it must be the whole tooth and nothing but the tooth.
Radio Richard.
Tell me about something funny.
Well, it depends if you think it's funny or not. I mean, it's funny from one, there is, it's funny and it's unfunny, and also maybe sometimes sad. But very well that I had a heroin habit, and I don't want to glorify it.
No.
It was really mostly I had over 12 years on it, and the last 10 years I was trying to get off it, and it wasn't fun. It was hell. And you got to remember, when you go you doing gigs like we do, your dealer doesn't go on tour with you, doesn't follow you.
No.
So every time I had to go, for example, to the States, I would go down to see a private doctor somewhere in the usual place in London, where they're all gathered in the same area. And I would sometimes plead for substitutes to take with me, because I couldn't take any heroin, obviously. I mean, that's going to get you probably 50 years chokey as soon as you get in here, as soon as someone catches you at customs.
Okay.
And I mean, mind you, I did do that. I did that. I put 2 grams. I plugged 2 grams of heroin in the in
I
the
knew you'd get to the bottom of this somehow.
the bottom, exactly. And I went through customs in New York like that, you know, one time. And like, I'm looking back and I'm thinking, I mean, this is crazy. You know, if I'd have got caught, I'd have been taken straight to Rikers Island. Yeah, yeah. Well, anyway, so I'm going to LA, right? And I've got all these substitutes. It was Robbie Williams' album, Escapology, which is miraculously is an amazing album, track for track. I still think it's the best album he's ever done. And I don't think he's done anything that's come near that album since. Okay. Now, I'm not saying it's because I was there.
Well, I
But
would say that. I would say that, but
I had a lot to do with it. You know, I was there the whole time. I was on the whole album from the demos at the beginning of 2001, and I went to LA and stayed there, stayed with Rob. Um, the funny story I was going to say was that now my substitutes were codeine. Okay, so I could take codeine because that would stop me withdrawing from heroin, and diazepam, which you know gives you like a calm, nice feeling. You know, but the thing about this is that you know, doctors are giving these things to drug addicts. You know, and it's like if two makes you feel good, I mean, 20 is going to make you feel really good. Anyway, I overdid it on the diazepam in the Four Seasons. You know the Four Seasons down La Cienega.
I know it well.
You know the one where there's a 7-Eleven opposite it. You know, I don't know if the 7-Eleven is still there. I was there when that 7-Eleven was. There was a gunfight actually. Los Angeles. I mean, it's like America really is a lot like what you see on the TV. I mean, you know, I mean, anyway, so I've overdone it on these Valiums. Probably had like 10 of them or something like that, you know. And I've just fallen asleep in the position I was leaning on with a lit cigarette in my hand. Okay. And then I've just crashed. Okay. And then I've been woken up because I was getting burnt. And I look around, my bed's on fire. Like it's on fire, you know. And I'm looking around going, oh, wow, man, this is great. Wow, look at that. Wow, oh, my God, look at that. Oh, my God, you know. Oh, I mean, oh, how crazy. I tell you that was expensive, that was. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. I tell you, hey, anyone watching this, don't set fire to your bed in the Four Seasons.
No, I guess that is a mistake.
Yeah, it's going to really hit you in the pocket, man. You know,
yeah.
USA money first, you know?
Were you physically hurt? I mean, were you burned yourself?
No, I miraculously I wasn't, you know. I mean, through all this, and yet at the same time, I was making all these incredible records.
Yeah.
I did Joe Cocker. I did a great Joe Cocker album on this, you know, in this condition.
Yes.
Jagger's album. Oh my God, I've got a great story for you, Mick Jagger. Hey, check this out, right? We're doing a track, right? And we did a lot of it live. It was really, really great. But he could obviously see what was going on because of his own experience with his band for many years, you know. And doing It's Your Lucky Day. It's on Mick Jagger's solo album. It's your lucky day, baby. Okay. We kept coming up to this middle section. And every time we got to it, I went like this. I just went donk, donk, over, donk, you know, like that. Every time, I don't know why, this very bar we got to was like the middle where I was playing like a riff and like catching. I was playing with Yanto, Ian Thomas, you know, and Yanto was carrying me. You know, I mean, I could still play great. I mean, you know, you've seen the conditions I've been in sometimes when I've played, and you've seen me rip the hell out of tracks when I should be actually on my way to hospital or the cemetery.
Yes.
You know. So anyway, this was about 5 times in a row I did this. That I went over when we got to this spot, exact spot in the track. And then what happened the last time that it happened was I went over. Matt Clifford, who's Mick's MD, and he's my friend who got me the gig, you know. So he's like, oh my God, you know, and thinking the effect is going to go back on him because of, you know, just my state. I went over and Matt came over and gave me this almighty kick. Oh God. I don't know where he kicked. He just kicked me. He kicked me in the thighs or the ass or something like that, you know. And he really kicked me. And I got up, and then I came back in. And do you know what? They left the gap on the record. I mean, how about that for creative recording? It was about 8 bars. It was about 8 bars.
Right. Well,
It happened over quite a very, very quick period. And
yeah.
you see, I'd kind of got into this situation where I was kind of regularly falling over at this spot.
Yeah.
And it was a bit like a sort of act, you know. I probably would have done it every night if we were on tour, you know. We get to that spot.
Yeah.
But when you listen to the album and you get to that section, the bass goes,
Yes.
bass comes out, and then
Yeah.
it suddenly comes back in again.
Right. Well,
Oh man,
probably not something you want to do often, but that's
unbelievable. I tell you, when I saw Mick, well, the first time I saw Mick when I was clean, he was really gracious and kind to me, really. You
well,
know,
it's great to know.
he was, you know, and I mean, I can say this as well. How about this? You know, I went to see the Stones. I was in Oslo, and they were playing. One night, I had a night in Oslo. I went to McDonald's, and in the queue behind me was Keith, and I forget his second name, but he's the keyboard player, and he's Cliff Richard's MD. Unbelievable. We're queuing up in McDonald's, okay? Just and he said, "Oh yeah, we got a night off. Cliff's been playing here, you know." He's sort of talking about that stuff, and he said, "Oh, what are you doing there?" I said, "I'm just bumming around, and I'm going to see the Stones tonight, you know." So anyway, so the Rolling Stones have everything. Rolling Stones concerts, everything prepared. So the guests looked after, you know, like the same as everybody else is looked after, you know. Obviously the band have their own little idiosyncrasies, you know, so but everybody else is looked after, you know. They got a reputation for class, you know. There was a little bus. I took Wendy, my friend, I took Wendy's son with me. I could only take one person, and my friend was like, oh God, she was, oh God. And then I said, look, listen, you've got to let me take this 17-year-old kid, because she'd been to loads of gigs. She's a bit of a sort of, you know, like a gig hound, you know?
Yes.
And she was my girlfriend that I would stay with in Oslo, okay? And like I said, no. You really got to let me take the kid, you know? He's just the right age to see it, you know, to see it like right up close and everything like that, you know. So they've got like a guests manager, okay, the Rolling Stones. And I was out in the crowd, you know, just wandering around with my pass and this, that, and the other. And the guests manager came to look for me and said, "Oh, right, you know, you're Matt wants you backstage, you know." And like all the sponsors, the bankers, the politicians, and the actors and the musicians, They're all upstairs in some room somewhere, eating smoked salmon and drinking champagne.
Yes.
I'm the only guest in the whole stadium in the dressing room with Keith and Ronnie. You know, the only guest. There's nobody else wandering around, no other guests, no nothing. Why do I get in? You know, why do they let me in that far? You know, right into the inside of everything that's going on, you know.
Maybe
And
they were looking for another bass player.
yeah, well, you know, I mean, I must say, I think I could do a really good job. So I go into Ronnie's dressing room, and he goes, "Oh," he says, "Oh, Bill," right? And you know why he called me Bill? Because Ronnie was sober. He was this point. He got sober. He was 5 years sober, I think he was. He hadn't had a drink. Never been sober in his life. And I was clean. And he said, he shook hands and he said, "Well, we're actually meeting for the first time, aren't we? You know, as actual people. You know, because I've been seeing him since 1977, and we've been." Well, I mean, seriously fried. Right. Oh my God. The times I met Ronnie in the States, his club was just like, if you got in there, they just locked the door and they just stopped taking money behind the bar. And the people, you know, you could just wander behind the bar and pour yourself a drink, you know. And you remember Keith Floyd, the celebrity chef?
Yes, indeed. Yes.
Oh man. Oh God. The night I was in Ronnie's club, and he was there. He called me Bill because he couldn't hear that they'd said Phil. Okay. And that was it. I was Bill from then on.
Right.
And Ronnie called me Bill as part of the joke.
Yeah.
And when we were in Oslo and I met them and I saw him, he went, "Oh, Bill." He went, "Oh, God." And I said, "Oh."
I believe you've got another funny story for us.
There's Elton John, you know, like doing the Lion King. I mean, that's got to be a real height of my career. And I've seen Elton recently, and he is just such a great man, you know, such a great man. And
Yeah,
I
and
managed to play bass
just to
on
clarify, you played bass on that record and you did all the backing vocals.
yeah, I did backing vocals. Yeah, I did backing vocals with Gary Barlow,
Uh-huh.
Rick Astley,
Nice.
Kiki D,
Nice.
and Davy Johnson.
Wow. Well, they
And
sound
you know what?
fantastic.
You can really hear me leaning. I leant forward, man, as always. You know me.
Yeah.
I really stuck my neck out to get
Yeah.
to that microphone. You know, when we made that record, Elton was like 5 years clean, and I made a decision with Chuck Sabo, who's playing the drums, that we weren't going to use any drugs
How
on
nice.
Elton's session. And the result of that was that I was scared effing shitless. Elton really is well, I was going to say a king, but he probably wouldn't mind if I called him a queen. But, you know, no, he's a great man. Went to see him in Italy. And do you know what? He dedicated a song to me and Chris. "Don't Let the Sun Go Down on Me." And he said, "My friends are out in the audience." He said, "My producer, Chris Thomas, and one of my bass players, Phil Spalding, and this song's for them." I mean, what, you know, why? Why has it happened to me?
Yeah.
Why?
But you know what I think is nice about that story is the fact that both you and I have worked for a lot of stars and worked with all these different people who are world famous people. And yet we never quite lose that great feeling of being fans at the same time.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I tell you what, playing with Elton is very, very hard. He's a busy player, man. You know, and when you're playing the bass, you know, you've got a 10-fingered piano player.
Yeah,
The low
he's got a heavy left hand, so you have to
The
make
low
sure
notes,
you're with
yeah,
it.
You've really got to be, you know, this is where you go back to simplicity is the best, you know. It's the fact that I've listened to Beethoven a lot and Mozart, who is the pop star, and Beethoven's the kind of Led Zeppelin of it all, I think, you know. Like Mozart's Elton, you know, and Beethoven's like Led Zeppelin, you know.
Nice.
And like if you listen to that stuff, you know, that's where you learn how music works. And we did the same thing on the Circle of Life. Now the Circle of Life, that did something to me that's never happened before, ever. We've got the track. I've gone super simple because there's this left hand stuff that I've got to like kind of go in between of and stay out of, if you like, you know, and I'm going for long notes as well. So you've kind of got a bass wash, you know, okay, which eases your feeling of listening to the track, you know, and so Elton's doing the lead vocal. I was standing, I don't know why, that in that Townhouse 2, I think it was, it was a little vocal booth, and there was, I suppose, a little entrance next to the booth. I actually stood there I mean, if the glass panel wasn't there, I'd have been 2 foot away from Elton. And I watched him from the side. I watched him, his mouth opening, everything, what he did, his little idiosyncrasies, you know. And Chris shouted through and he said, I think we've got it. I think we've got it. I think we can get it out of those 3. Okay. And Elton said, he said, I'll tell you what, he said, Chris, let me have one more go. He said, let me have there's a couple of things I want to try that I haven't done yet. And do you know what? He sang that song. I stood next to the booth and cried. You know, it was so. I'm welling up now thinking about it. You know, wow. And that's the take. That's how you make records that are going to be #1 in the States. You know.
So I'm now going to ask you a question. The subject is bass.
Yeah.
The question is Fender or any other maker?
Fender every time. Fender.
Right. And then I'm going to say,
unless there was some kind of weird thing happening that needed.
And then I'm going to say P bass or jazz bass.
Oh, P bass for me. Harder to play. Keeps me in order.
Nothing keeps you in order, Phil.
No, I know, but I mean, none of the other bass players I know can play my basses, which is quite handy, really. So it stops them stealing them, you know.
Thank you. Okay. My second question is invoice or cash?
I like invoice. I like to try to be proper, you know, and I declare cash as well. I've got a very good accountant.
I get it. You're a straight shooter, apart from going through customs. So now,
well, that was some time ago.
Here's the other one. Here's question number 3, I think it is. Clubs or concerts?
Oh, concerts every time. I don't like clubs, crowds. Oh no. Whoa. I mean, it kind of first of all, it reminds me of drugs.
All right, I see. Okay, here's another question. Question number 4. Practice or have lunch? And now, here's another question. Fry up or pizza?
I like Turkish, you know, Turkish, Greek, where they got a lot of salads and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And also, if you're a vegetarian, you want a veggie night, you can usually get a good veggie meal in those restaurants.
Yes.
The meat's good if you like the meat, and the vegetables are good if you like the vegetables.
Well, it's nice to know that in some area of your life, you've always been very health conscious.
Well, I mean, it's the other thing as well is that I always hated going through the night and not sleeping. Okay. I can't stand not having the days split,
Yes,
even if it's just 2 hours.
yes,
I've got to split my days. I've got to have some sleep, otherwise I
yes.
go bananas. And I think that rule, if you like, in my life, I think it served me very well, considering the partying I've done.
Well, that's the advice that you're getting from Phil Spalding, kids. Always get a good night's sleep.
And also learn to sleep in cabs, airports,
Yes.
airport seats,
Yep. Yep. I understand. That's
horrible backstage conditions that have just been thrown together with lumps of wood and a palm tree.
exactly.
Learn to and also make sure that you get there first before your other band members, so you get the sofa and
Yes,
you
that's
crash
true.
out. And then when they come want to sit on the sofa, you say, "Oh, I've got to leave it out. I've got a terrible hangover. I've got, oh God." I mean, Harvey Mason, I had a week with Harvey. Okay, an entire week, right? Okay, at Peter Gabriel's place.
I want to hear what the advice he gave you about bass. What was the tips he gave you?
Wait for the next beat. Wait,
Wait.
wait. You don't have to jump on top of the beat. You know, you don't have to. I mean, I don't even mean anticipate it, but my mind's thinking in milliseconds. And if I hear something, I can hit it so close that you'll think I've hit it at the same time, and it's because I've waited for the beat and I've hit it. You can hear it if you listen to "Feel" by Robbie Williams. By the way, again, I mean that was on the radio today when we were in the car. I said, "Oh God, I turned it right up." Wow, yeah. And I'm thinking, yeah, PPL, and
Yeah.
no, I mean that's a great track. I mean,
Yeah.
again, I'm listening to that, and I'm saying to Helen in the car, I'm just saying to her, perfect. It's just perfect. That's Beethoven. That's Beethoven stuff. Really. Listen to anything, any of his symphonies. Listen to what he does with the bass. I would say to any bass player, you could probably learn everything you need to learn if you listen to all Beethoven symphonies.
And I would definitely agree with that. And I would also say that's all we have time for, Phil, but that's been a very unusual and unique version of Musicians Funnies. There was a lot of very heartfelt stuff in there, and very glad to have you on Musicians Funnies, Phil. And we'll see you soon.
Yeah, I mean, thank you for the invitation. I love doing this kind of thing, and it's great to be able to think, retrospectively about things. And I tell you what, it's actually just great to be here and be alive.
Yes, I agree with that
'Cause
100%.
I should be dead,
Yes,
deader than dead.
yes,
Oh my God, I should be dead. Oh my God.
yeah.
Oh God.
Well, but since you're not, I guess it's time for dinner. Feeling a bit tired? Thinking of getting an early night tonight? Forget it, because I'm Richard Niles, and instead of sleeping, you could be lying in bed listening to my podcast, Radio Richard. Intriguing interviews and pulsating performances from master musicians like Chick Corea, Barry Manilow, Lionel Mays, and Michael McDonald.
Hey girl, I want you to know I'm gonna.
Hey, don't be a wimp. You can sleep anytime. Don't miss a moment of the fun. Subscribe to
Radio Richard.
Thank you.